And everybody else who just ended up here, and welcome to this June 2025 reading. This is a Libra inspired reading, and I am working with the symbolism of the tarot cards and with the symbolism of Western astrology to unfold layers of consciousness, maybe find new perspectives on a situation. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not telling you predictions. We're merely just looking at a situation with the cards, and maybe this is inspiring or can give you a little push, or can give you just a new perspective on your situation. First part of the reading, we will do a general energy. Second part of the reading, we will go into a relationship dynamic. Check out the description box. Please like, subscribe, comment, and we're gonna go and start. I'm gonna clean the energy a little bit because it's stuffy in here. But the Virgo reading that I just did was very nice. So let's see what June brings for this type of zodiac symbolism. Libras, do you feel the lightness? I feel so much lighter these days for whatever reason. Maybe it's something in the planets. Ooh, the moon. Wow. Okay, the moon is interesting because with the moon we do have these moments of deeper revelations. Not necessarily. It could be things coming up from the surface, or it could be things working very deep in our subconscious that we cannot really name, or we cannot logically sort of analyze, or we are not ready to really understand them on a rational level, but we can still feel like really intense energies within us working. So this can be a little scary sometimes. That's why often people say like it's the hidden stuff and the scary stuff and the dark stuff, but it is for me more like a deep dive into your emotional realm. It is also a Pisces card, so it's a very spiritual way of connecting to your emotions. You can really stir up something, or something gets stirred up, and you can really come to a place where you also kind of have to take an emotional risk maybe, and you have to kind of see the way through even though you don't know what's coming. So with the moon, we sort of are in a birthing canal, as you can see that, and we have these two towers, and we have this scarabæus bug that is coming out of the waters and really being birthed through this tunnel into this new light, and afterwards is the sun. So this is an initiation also of ourselves, and we might have to go through a little bit of a tough tunnel to get out on the other side, but we can see the light, and we can also see the scary stuff, but we are not too much paying attention. It's kind of like when you walk through a dark hallway and you're like, okay, I know this is scary, this is gonna be scary, but I see the light at the end of the hallway, so I'm gonna walk. I'm just gonna walk and not pay attention to the scary stuff. So this is, yeah, it's not challenging in a sense that if we don't make it too challenging, it doesn't have to be too challenging. We just have to be aware, and we have to work with our fears. So this is a card where fears can come up, but it's also a card that teaches us not to be afraid of our own fears. And those fears might come up from places that we don't really can pinpoint or understand. And we can work a lot here with our physical body, and I'm getting goosebumps all over. So I feel like this is very accurate. We can work a lot with our body and with our feelings, and just trying to be emotionally connected and kind of react to what's happening. So we cannot really be afraid of the fear. That is the quintessential thing here. We work with our fears and we work through our fears, and we take up the challenge. Oh wow. King of Swords. That is interesting because I was saying all these logical things about the situation, and that's kind of what we need to know to get into the situation. We kind of need to know, we know that this is happening, we have a strategy, we know we can get through it, we can be clear cut about it, we can face our fears. With the King of Swords or with the Knight of Swords in this deck, we are really capable of facing our fears because he's hardcore, you know, he's very detached from his emotions. Maybe we need to be somehow detached from our emotions right now. Maybe this can be part of why there is such a big emotional intensity within us right now, but it is, as always, a balancing out. I think the Knight of Cups here can really help us work through what's coming towards us, or what we know we're getting ourselves into, because we understand that it's coming. So we understand that we don't know what's coming. Let's put it that way. And we can kind of intellectualize that. And we have a strategy. With the Knight of Swords, we do have a strategy. A very clear strategy, straight to the point. Ooh, very nice. You might find some truth in here, in this whole process. Wow. The Knight of Swords, he has two swords in his hand, a dagger and a sword. He is in full attack. I feel like you might even be fully attacking your subconscious in a sense where it's like, okay, now I really need to dig deeper. I want to dig deeper. I need to find some clarity within myself, even if it's scary, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it might unfold some new layers that I've never tapped into. That is a little scary. But on the other side of this road, there is clarity and truth. Wow, so this is really more of a quest for clarity and truth, going through a deeper emotional challenge, I want to say, and kind of, I think, purposefully doing so. I think this is not something that's just happening. It's just like, okay, this is coming now. I understand that this is kind of scary. I'm taking up the challenge because I know on the other side I will come out with more clarity, with more knowledge, and with even like a new way of thinking and seeing things, a new truth. Very, very inspiring. This is amazing. I love this. This is so amazing. And especially as a Libra air sign, of course, sometimes air signs are said to be detached or to get detached. But, you know, when it's time, they know, okay, now it's time to dig deep because I need really more clarity and I need to understand more about the situation. This deep stuff, and this is deep, very strategic, very smart stuff at the same time. Because the Knight of Swords and the Ace of Swords is very smart energy. So this is a very smart approach to the unknown. And I think it really has a lot to do with, okay, I'm not knowing. I know that I don't know. Like, you know, that saying. And at the end of the tunnel, you will know. But you kind of have to go through the tunnel. And even if you just know that you can conquer a fear that you know you have, because I feel like you know you have that fear. I don't think it's a fear that is not present or that you haven't defined. Oh, wow, okay. Six of Wands, success. On the bottom of the deck, yes. There is a victory in this. This is a challenge, an emotional challenge that you are taking on and that you are winning, and that you are keeping a positive attitude towards. And it's learning a lot of wisdom and stepping into a lot of power. This is really interesting reading. I've never had something like that laying on the table. This is very fascinating. But yes, very positive, but you know, complex stuff. Positive, but complex stuff. We, I think, really need to focus here on the understanding that fear can be our helper. I'm not sure if it's our friend. Maybe sometimes, but that we can really learn more about our fears and about what we're afraid of by walking through it, walking past it, and experiencing it, and seeing that we can come out on the other side having this clarity and having this understanding and feeling really victorious about it. So this is, you will feel good. This will feel very, very successful. You can also, maybe there is a fear of success, could also be, and you're kind of conquering that. Maybe there is a fear of succeeding in something, or a fear of, yeah, a lot of people have an unconscious or a subconscious fear of success, because then what's happening then, you know? Maybe this is something that is coming up in your life, but it could be anything else. But I feel like it's really a very strategical, a very practical, and a very logical way of conquering fears. And it's very, very successful. You're doing a really great job, it seems like. Wow, okay. Whew. Let's see what this means for relationships, or if it even interacts with the relationships, but it always does, kind of. So yeah, relationships doesn't have to be romantic, can be romantic, of course. And it is you and another person. So this is you. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, there is a sense of not trusting a situation. There is a sense of not really letting yourself fully fall into the unknown. And there is a fear. And I think it really has to do with, yeah, it probably has to do with a love relationship or with a love interest. And there is a big fear, I think, of falling, of trusting your own decisions, of trusting the unknown. That's really intense. Lovers in the reverse. But at the same time, it seems like with this Knight of Swords and with this Moon card, it's kind of a rationalization of things and not really feeling things. So it's like we feel a fear, but we don't know if that fear, what that fear is about. But that fear kind of holds us back, I feel like. What's with this other person? Oh, the Hangman in the reverse. Nice. This other person is coming out of a kind of a restrictive energy where they feel like they can, it's intense. I don't know what you're dealing with in your relationship lives, but it's two really big cards. It's two major arcana. So this other person might be realizing and seeing and having an awakening by surrendering to a situation that they might realize that you are very afraid. Maybe. Maybe they have a realization how you have a hard time trusting that something is the right thing. And that kind of makes them come out of their own self-imposed prison or something. This is really complex. The Hangman in the reverse is a card where it's like, it really, because he has such big eyes, and it seems like he just has this realization, like that it's hard to trust. It's really hard to let yourself fall into a situation. Or that maybe you're not trusting a situation, you're not trusting your own subconscious, you're not trusting a decision. But as I said, we have a 6 of Wands here, so 9 of Swords, oh boy. 9 of Swords, yeah, it brings a lot of anxious energy. It brings a lot of anxious energy. And it's kind of mirroring. It's a lot, I have to say. I feel like even it's weird. Somebody is coming out of surrendering to a situation or a connection, and it's kind of a deep connection. It's a deep connection. And they start realizing that you can't trust this connection. And it becomes very mentally challenging. With the 9 of Swords, there's a lot of overthinking and a lot of the mind going places where it shouldn't go. And it brings up a lot of anxiety, a lot. With the Moon and the 9 of Swords, I will pull some more cards because this is too much, guys. This is too much. I mean, there is clarity by the end of it. For you, at least. Oh, wow. That's so funny. The Knight of Wands. There's still a lot of passion and a lot of chemistry and a lot of, I want to say, skills to act on that situation, to act on that, to make something out of that anxiety, maybe also somewhat transforming that anxiety in something different, maybe even something sexual, I don't know, but and there's the 2 of Swords, which is a card of peace. This is a big learning moment, and somebody's going to do something about it. You know, it's not going to just be like this situation. There is things, somebody will act, and I feel like this other person will act. They will do what needs to be done, whatever that is. But it's good. They're coming from a good place. The Knight of Wands comes from a good place. He's not coming from a, he's very playful, he's very fun, he's very open, he's very, you know, creative, out there. So it could even be that both of you kind of have learned how to transform that anxious energy into something more primal or something. And stepping out of, because there's a mirroring of sorts, you know. I feel like some realization of a person surrendering to a situation is really opening their eyes to what's going on, and you are just having a hard time to trust the unknown. So, one more card. 7 of Swords. In the reverse, though. Okay. Being honest and not making things, being transparent and honest and not taking shortcuts and really taking the time to look at this is what's important here. With the 9 of Swords, with the 7 of Swords, we really want to make sure that we are not tricking ourselves into thinking that we can't do. This seems a lot like sabotaging, you know. It could be a lot like self-sabotage. 8 of Wands, yes, communication, movement. This is a tough moment, I think, in a relationship with a person that is a deeper connection, where we learn about how our mind can sabotage us from what we actually want, and how we can rationalize something till the end of time and have a strategy, and even if we have the best strategy, still there's unknown factors involved that are scary, you know. And this is about overcoming fears, especially for you. This other person, I think they might just realize what's going on, and then might make them think like, what's going on? Does it have something to do with me maybe, or what's going on, you know? But I think really being transparent and not looking away from the issues, being really, I think what we need to be careful about is that we're really careful with communication, and that we are not, the way we communicate, that we are not saying things that we regret, or saying things that are completely out of hand. With the 9 of Swords, we could be like completely having ideas that are so far from reality. So the 9 of Swords is ideas far from reality. But with the 7 of Swords in the reverse, we really want to be honest with ourselves, and we can be. We can be honest with ourselves, we can be honest with another person, we can have the understanding that not everything we think is the truth, not every thought is us. Especially with the 9 of Swords, we really need to be careful that we don't think like every thought is us, and that we are aware of where we self-sabotage, because we are really standing in the way of what we, because the Knight of Wands, he just gets what he wants. That's what he does. He's like, that's what I want, that's what I'm going to get. And there's a reason he wants that, and it comes from a good place. So maybe we're just really afraid of getting what we want, because we're still processing some old stuff, or it could uncover some old stuff. It is most definitely a karmic thing that's going on here, or that has to come to the surface. And with this Queen of Pentacles, we have the Eight of Wands, we have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, and we have the Queen of Pentacles underneath. So we will come back into our stability, into our power. But yeah, this seems quite challenging, to be honest. But at the same time, 6 of Wands. So yeah, I mean, this is tough. This is a tough moment where we really have to step deeper into our fears and see what we find there, and how we find that clarity that we need, and that understanding. Okay, maybe I will pull some relationship affirmators, because this is quite challenging. That one. Perspective. Yeah. What does a hawk see when it flies over your house, besides the family of mice living nearby that you don't know about? What will your current problems, conflicts, complaints look like when you're 80 years old and you gaze back on the timeline of your life? In this moment, you're being given the gift of clear perspective, of knowing that in the end, everything is going to be probably much better than okay. Think large enough and even big issues become small. Become an 80-year-old hawk and you're really onto something. Okay, yeah, perspective for sure. Finding the right perspective on things, and we can only do that in this case if we really dig deeper, or let the unknown also unfold a little bit, or also be okay with the unknown, which is often the moon also. It doesn't have to be this big revelation. In this case, I think we will have one, but it can also be like some things need to be, don't have to be uncovered. Okay, one more. Maturity. I make peace with the tough relationships of my past. Wow. I probably would have skipped the pain they came with, but I'm grateful for the lessons they brought me. Because of those tough relationships, I can look back at the mosaic of life and see value in even the most broken pieces. Okay, this is definitely about some stored trauma when it comes to relationships and trust issues. And not even trust issues in a sense. I don't think it's trust issues when it comes to jealousy or being afraid that somebody's cheating on you or whatever. I think it's more like, can I trust my own decisions when it comes to getting into something? Or can I trust my own decisions? Can I let myself fall? Right. Surrender my best self. Yeah. As I said, we do have a 6 of Wands here. So this is a biggie. This is a big month for you. We do have Venus moving into Cancer, and it's actually quite a positive aspect for everything that has to do with the nurturing, caring, mother, wounds. We can grow there a lot, so maybe you want to look at that type of stuff. Also, the moon is kind of loosely connected to Cancer. The moon is very much connected to Cancer, but this card is a Pisces card. So yeah, that's that. Wow, of course the Libra reading is longer now. And we're gonna look at one more oracle card. Creativity. Draw, paint, and think and act in a creative way. So now tapping into your creativity would be a really good idea to get rid of all this anxious energy, because it will come up. It doesn't have to, of course, it's not resonating with anybody, but this is a difficult reading. So there is anxious energy that is coming up, and we really want to ask ourselves those questions. And we can maybe control our minds a little bit, or calm them down, or work with that creatively, especially when we have the Knight of Wands here, who is very creative, as I already mentioned. And we can put those ideas into action and what we've learned. It's deep stuff. If you're an artist, now you can really work on deep relationship stuff, or deep stuff that comes with difficult relationships. You can really tap in and make something out of it. Eight of Wands, a lot of movement, there's a lot going on. The Devil wanted to come out as well. Wow. That was crazy. Did you see that? I didn't even want to do that. I was just like looking at some input. How are we controlled by our fears, basically? And how can we break through this? I cannot stop this reading. 6 of Swords. Libra, I might make a extended or a bonus for you because it's a bonus relationship reading. But yeah, this is probably not for all Libras, but this is the real work. This is the tough work, and I know Libras have been doing a lot of real work, but that's why you're the Libras. You know, you're just like equipped to do it. And I will pull one more oracle card. One more, and then we're gonna, what's going on with this Devil coming out? Yeah, and this is probably what Libras are asking, or what you might be asking yourself, like, what's going on with this Devil coming out? I thought I kind of managed that guy. That's at least how I feel. I'm like, what's going on with that Devil energy constantly being present? But yeah, I did some Libra readings. I did a couple of readings in the last couple of months where it was like, we need to learn how to manage that devil energy. We cannot just cut it off. It's like, that's not how it, I mean, we kind of need to cut it off in a way, but we also have to realize that it's there. We cannot just ignore it. It's part of the experience, and we have to learn how to live with it and handle it and manage it. And react to it and not be drawn into it. And this is the perfect card. This is the perfect card. Love heals fear. I cannot make this up. I needed this. The power of your love can help aggressive people be less fearful. So maybe you can sense a fear in other people or aggression from other people. And that's why you don't trust. That could also be. I don't see it here necessarily, but it can also go the other way around, you know. Maybe you're in a defensive mode and another person is like, well, I'm going to help you through this. So this is, wow, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. If you make this, and it seems like you will, it will be very powerful, because it's very, very intense. It's playing the real game, not just the dummy, not just like the prototype. So yeah, good luck, Libra, and I'm sure you will be fine. But yeah, this was a reading where we tapped into a little bit of more intense energy, and thank you so much for sticking with me and being here. And please like, subscribe, comment if you're interested in my stuff that I'm doing in my private readings, in personal sessions, and so on and so forth. Then go check out my description box, and I'll see you next time. Bye.